The sun is gone. The path is dark behind you, and all that's ahead is the forest. You've heard there's monsters in this forest, worse than wolves. All you have is a knife to protect you. You've been walking for so long you can't see past the trees. The silence is suffocating, but you can hear whispers through the leaves. You've seen people walk this path before, never to return, so you let the trail of breadcrumbs behind you if you have to escape. You turn a corner in the path, and in the clearing, there's the wolf, standing on his hind legs, his eyes gleaming like blades in the moonlight. He snarls, says, "You were the one we were warned about," then howls and runs away. You're lost. You kneel at a river to see a reflection. It's a reflection of a monster. The knife is in your hand. Breadcrumbs tumble from your mouth. There's none on the path behind you. Hunger has been your only compass. You hear the wolf howl that the monster has returned. You ask the leaves how to turn back, but they whisper, there's no escape from your own head. You don't know how you became the one to make the wolves run. You don't know how you became what you become. It's only you and your reflection and the question of when did the boy end and when did the monster begin? Welcome to the Great Star Theater. Good evening, everybody. Hello. Hello, fellow Americans. Welcome to the first waning days of the apocalypse. You happen to see some art tonight? Who's in the mood for some entertainment? Y'all need to be a little bit louder than that. All right. So tonight, you will see a rare blend of circus and storytelling. You will see death-defying feats and heal tales of idiocy. You will watch acts that require years of discipline and precision and hear stories that require a lot of whiskey and poor decision-making skills. So somewhere in there, we will make a show. So there's a very famous phrase that every performer's heard every backstage in their life, which is to break a leg. I'm not exactly sure how wishing a compound fracture on someone became a form of luck, but in Italy, they have a different phrase which translates to go into the mouth of the wolf. That's what they tell each other before they go on stage. So a lot of what you're going to be seeing tonight is incredibly dangerous. I will not lie. We are not an art gallery. We are live performers. That means we want to hear you. So make some noise now for everybody backstage. And howl if you're hungry. And let us go into the mouth of the wolf.
In the morning, just a little bit ago, you lie asleep in our bed, all twisted in your clothes. When the rain came down on our rooftop, on my shoulders when you open your mouth.
Every summer as a kid, I got sent to Christian camp. My mom would drop my brother and I off and wave goodbye driving back down the mountain. It'd been 2 days of learning how to tie knots, memorizing scripture and rope swings before I developed a mad crush on Sarah Riley. She was a blonde tomboy, a year older with a gap in her teeth and dirt on her knees. The first brave one to jump in the river. She had the energy of a tomcat and was everything I wanted to be. Loud, smart, and fearless. My face would get all buzzy when I'd look at her, and I'd sneak my Bible close to where she was playing and peek over the pages. I never talked to her once, but I tagged her extra hard when we played flag football. You guys know that trick? One morning, I caught all the adults in the rec room huddled around a radio. Our Bible study teacher, Miss Dishman, was arguing heatedly with camp counselor Rick. She was shaking her head as he kept pointing at the last pages of the Bible. I could hear a loud voice on the radio, booming, quoting Revelations. But Miss Dishman caught me looking and then shut the door in my face. The next day, their trip to the waterfall was canceled, along with the nightly s'more sing-along. Instead, they gathered all the kids around the campfire and had us pray in silence. Camp counselor Rick stepped forward into the firelight. He was always smiling like he had a secret, but tonight, his grin was almost frightening. He said a few hallelujahs and told us to prepare ourselves for amazing news. One of the kids interrupted and asked if it was a pizza party. He said, no, it was better. It was the best news of all. Jesus was coming. The other counselors nodded. Miss Dishman was shaking her head off to the side. We didn't understand the big deal, as we'd kind of been hearing about Jesus coming about every Sunday, but Camp Counselor Rick said there was a preacher on the radio who predicted the last election and the rise of Gorbachev, and he just got a message from God himself, and Jesus was coming. The rapture was coming in 2 days, Saturday at midnight. The kids murmured in confusion. Well, what about Sunday kickball? Camp Counselor Rick pointed at the starry sky and said Jesus was going to come down on a white horse holding a flaming sword, and we were all going to float up to heaven like helium balloons. But sinners were going to have to stand earth for Armageddon, the seas turning to blood, famine, locusts, Donald Trump getting elected president, so you better start begging for forgiveness for your sins right now. He shot a sharp look at my brother, who was rumored to be the culprit behind the Playboy magazine found hidden in the lake house. Some of the kids started praying immediately. And then I saw Sarah Riley being comforted by Sean Harris, a strapping 9-year-old quarterback. Sean Harris had teeth that looked like he was never gonna need braces, teeth that were whispering sweet things in her ear to make her laugh. I hated Sean Harris more than the devil himself and saw him hug Sarah until a camp counselor separated him to make room for the Holy Ghost and Christian side hug and all that stuff. So one of the kids said, if we're gonna be in heaven, does that mean our moms don't have to pick us up? It depends, said Rick, if they've been saved or not. If they have, well, they'll meet you up there. If they haven't, well then. Well, what? Well, you'll just have to pray extra hard for them. Miss Dishman stepped forward and said, prophecies come and go, that only God could decide, and no man could decide the day or the hour. Camp Counselor Rick said, we were the blessed few to be given this gift to get right with God. I wanted the rapture to come, just not that weekend. I wanted to call my mom immediately to tell her to free my hamster Tigger. I didn't know if hamsters officially had souls or not. I was positive spiders never fucking did and never will, but I wanted my hamster to be covered just in case. A bleak depression came over me, realizing I'd never be a jet pilot or a firefighter or even be an adult. I'd be stuck in heaven in an 8-year-old body for eternity. We had another group prayer and they sent us all off to bed. I could hear Camp Counselor Rick and Miss Dishman arguing as I walked back. The next few days were a free-for-all. Some of the kids stopped showering. The fat kid Billy ate all the candy he'd been hiding underneath his bed, and I made a list of every burning question I had when I got to heaven, like if the Loch Ness Monster was real, if aliens were really angels in weird green disguises, and where did my dad go for all those years? Camp Counselor Rick said this was the last soccer game of our lives and yelled, hallelujah, every time we scored. On the day of the rapture, I thought about my outfit very carefully. I picked my favorite t-shirt with a Tyrannosaurus Rex fighting a ninja robot on the front. I prayed so hard, my hands hurt. I begged forgiveness for blaming my brother for that Playboy magazine that I snuck into the lake house. I prayed for all of my friends at school who were gonna burn in hell for eternity, especially my Jewish friend Jeff, who'd always laugh when I told him, you're totally not the chosen people. Have you read the New Testament? I mean, it's not a thing. And then I wrote a letter to my dad, telling him everything he missed in my life and left it on my pillow. And then I found Sarah Riley. She had combed her hair and was wearing her best blue dress. Finally, we were alone. I sauntered up, my face already going flush. She stood and glared at me. She said, "What do you want, Carrot Top?" By the way, the top of a carrot is green, the rest of the carrot is orange. I've been hearing this bullshit for 30 fucking years. Get your agriculture right, my God. But I digress. What do you want, Carrot Top? Well, as it's the last day on earth and all, I just want you to know that I like you. I ran off. I didn't even stay to see your face. I hid in my room and prayed that Sarah Riley and I would float up to heaven together. And then I made a plan. I begged my brother for a slingshot. I chewed 5 pieces of gum into a hard ball and tested my aim. If Sean Harris was gonna go to heaven too, the least I could do was make sure that they weren't holding hands. All day we waited for the end. At sunset, Camp Counselor Rick said we were gonna wait for Jesus out in the field. The slingshot was hidden in my back pocket. I saw Sarah Riley at the edge of the circle, but then turned away before she saw me. Sean Harris was standing next to her. The slingshot was in my back pocket. I hoped that when we flew up, I wouldn't go too fast to get good aim. We all closed our eyes and raised our arms. I peeked to see Sean Harris and Sarah Riley holding hands. My hand eased back to the slingshot and held there. Camp Counselor Rick's The Ledison song. Another one banged on a drum as the clock ticked. 11:30, 11:55, I took aim. 11:58, 11:59, midnight! I fired the hard gun from the slingshot. It went wild and hit Sarah Riley in the knee. She glared at me with fire in her eyes as we all stood in the field and held our poses. I slid away the slingshot in mute terror. Miss Dishman stepped forward and said, "All right, kids, it's way past your bedtime. Get along now." Camp Counselor Rick was about to protest and close his mouth. He looked at his hands to make sure he was still there. Sean Harris took Sarah Riley by the arm. As they walked past me, she hissed, "Jesus isn't gonna save you now." The rest of the kids walked back in silence. Camp Counselor Rick stared at the sky. I stood next to him, knowing that tomorrow would be hell on earth. Sean Harris was gonna pants me. Sarah Riley was gonna laugh until I cried. And Jesus was still coming, but no one would ever know when. Was it soon? Is it like next summer, or is it before I hit 18, or what? It's been a while.
through our mouths that fly against the air and galaxy.
Do I have any crazy people in the house? It's the silent people I'm worried about. Madness doesn't run in my family. It sprints. Sanity versus my sexuality. I was born with mental leprosy. Infected, infested, or so say those who inspect it, diagnosed twice as a manic depressive. But sanity isn't an answer, it's just a question. In high school, I was a walking landmine. Blow, a potential Columbine. Press star 69 and you reach the suicide hotline. From my writings and poetry sent to the school shrink, he said, Jamie, I can't change the way you think. With simple talking and hugs, you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You need some hardcore drugs. So to the psychiatrist, he said, well, let's have a look at those slashes on your wrists. And interesting, here you call yourself both a sadist and a masochist. I wonder, have you ever attempted suicide? I paraphrase Yoda when I say, there is no try, only do, only do. Otherwise, if I wanted to die, would I waste my fucking time talking to you? So he prescribes me a pill. Bing, Paxil D, to kill the manic D and level this devil to normality. Well, I should have listened to my mom and never accepted brain candy from strangers. 2 days later, I'm a medicated doppelganger, psychiatric headbanger. A week passes and I'm giddy like I'm hotboxing nitrous gases. I haven't smiled in months, so to celebrate, I make the adolescent version of popping a champagne cork and I start to masturbate. But hark! Lo and behold, 2 hours later, and I can't ejaculate. Vaseline, pornography, it didn't matter. I was going mad as a hatter, fully erect. I decided to inspect the side of the box to discover in fine print the side effect of ejaculatory delay. To translate, you can masturbate until you cheese grate. But there I was at the age of 15 with a hormonal frenzy in my testes. I was beginning to lose my mind, wanting to hump every rump from behind, afraid I'd commit a sex crime the next time I saw my shrink. I said, what's up, doc? What the fuck did these pills do to my cock? You could take these antidepressants and deep six them the fuck off the dock and shove me in a padded room because I'd rather be institutionalized than deprived of my one ally. If I'm missing some serotonin or lithium salt, it ain't my cock's fault. Psychotic, I can at least be erotic. Keep your narcotics, Salvador Dali said. The only difference between me and a madman is that I am not mad. But I say, flirting with sanity was the worst fuck I've ever had. I'm crazy about myself. Hang out with just me and my Bible belt. Love is a straitjacket. You're waiting for someone else to tighten. I'm fresh out the ground zero of a breakup with apologies stitched vertically down my left wrist. I move out my ex-girlfriend's house before she gets evicted. Just another waiter with a misanthropic streak and cheap tattoos he buys with tips. I'm saving up for crashing in any couch I can beg for, or any bed I can charm my way into. I'm homeless, hopping from couches to BART stations. I got an appetite for destruction that could use dessert. The night I meet her, it's a slow night at Van Cleef's on Telegraph in Oakland. The saxophone player 6 drinks in, slurring blues to the empty street. I'm writing poems on bar napkins. The ink keeps blurring through with the whiskey. I can't afford a psychiatrist, so Jameson's gonna have to pick up the slack. My future's laid out in front of me, like a railroad track I tied myself to. I don't know what's gonna fix anything, except a deposit, 2 months' rent, and anything that's gonna help me forget today. And then in walks my future. Damage in a dress. I could smell her perfume even before I see her. Cinnamon mixed with cigarettes. She doesn't look like the other girls in this bar with their thrift store fashion sense and cheap flower prints to complement the umbrellas in their drinks. No. She's got eyes dark as a black hole, lips red as an opening curtain. She asks me what I'm writing. I hold up the ink-blurred napkin. It's my autobiography drenched in whiskey. Art imitates life. She touches my scorpion tattoo and I say some pretentious shit like poison should always be labeled. She says she's a Scorpio herself. Says her name is Sid, short for something she doesn't want to tell me. She says she just got back in town from a year alone in the mountains as she takes kickboxing classes and is working on her photography portfolio. She asks if I want my next round here or alone with her in a mansion. Easy question. We pull up to a house high in the Oakland Hills, buzz open a gate and go up a 3-story staircase. The whole city of Oakland's laid out underneath us. Daddy's liquor cabinet has got scotch an Irishman can't pronounce. Oh, thank you. She pours me a cognac, takes it down to the basement to show me her portfolio. Every picture is a self-portrait of her standing naked on a box, as if the scarlet letter was written in an alphabet across her flesh. She holds up the biggest print. It's a photograph of her blindfolded in front of a mirror. She says this is how she sees herself. She says she loves how it takes days for photographs to develop, like watching a scar heal. Upstairs, I toast to the ashes of the past. She says we can be as loud as we want and smashes her glass against the wall. It shatters across the living room. Then she grabs my hand, puts it around her throat, and says, "You won't break me, but I want you to try." She kisses me like anger is an aphrodisiac. We hit her carpet, our bones crashing into each other like a wet car wreck. After, she blows smoke rings at the ceiling, tells me I can stay. I was just the right blend of poverty and horny. You see, when you're drowning, a partner can make you feel like you're swimming instead. Every night starts to get a little more physical. Slapboxing becomes our foreplay. We spar for fun in the living room, wrestle till we hit the walls so hard that paintings fall. She wants a knife to her throat. She wants me to love her like I want to kill her. Self-destruction is lonely. She's turned it into a duet. One night, she traces my ribcage with her fingers, shows me with her fingernail where she cut out my heart and keep it with her. I tell her, this is moving a little fast. She says restraint is for hospitals and cops. Don't hold myself back. Yeah, I need a breath, a break. I haven't seen some of my friends for a couple weeks. A buddy keeps asking me why I pick poison. I tell him it's because I've learned to love the taste. Maybe I should try something else. So I go on a date with a librarian. A quiet girl wants to discuss Dickinson and Dostoevsky. She paints watercolors and writes poems about weeping willows. We go to a cafe and kiss over a cup of tea. And as I sit there and sip the chamomile, I think about a different life. an easy life of doing yoga in the mornings and being nestled against each other. Life of sanity and stability and... Yeah, no. I tell you, I was still hungry for that girl in the mansion who could make me feel like every night was my last one on earth. So I kissed the librarian goodbye. More sugar next time. Catch the BART train back to Oakland, and at Van Cleef's, there's Sid sitting in her same seat. She says, I knew you weren't going anywhere, but back to me. Just don't do it again. 3 rounds of Greyhounds later, and we're back at her house, and she's pouring champagne down my chest. It's back to high times of low lives until she breaks a wine glass and begs me to carve my name in her chest, to brand her, to make my words become flesh. She says the flesh is weak, but love is permanent. This isn't love. This is a tango that's turning into a mosh pit. The deeper we go, the harder it's gonna be to find the surface. This time I take a break for a week, go back to waiting tables. Till my hostess tells me that I got a new table in my section, and what do you know, it's Sid with a bandage on her arm. She unwraps it, and it's a scorpion tattoo exactly the same as mine. She says she had to draw it from memory. She says that poison should always be labeled. She says, now we're reflections of each other. She puts a bag on the table. Inside is a pair of handcuffs. She says it's an invitation to come commit a crime. She's my reflection. I wonder what I'm scared to see. She says that premeditation will ruin the surprise. All right. We pull up outside of a cafe. She turns off the car and points inside. I look through the cafe window. It's a librarian girl I kissed a week ago, sipping tea. What the fuck is this? Sid says I can stop a crime if I want to. That if I didn't kiss that girl a week ago, we wouldn't even be here right now. I'm sorry, are you saying that you're fucking stalking me, Sid? She assures me it's only because she missed me. But if I don't stop her, she's gonna march into that cafe and beat the unholy living shit out of that girl while I watch in front of everybody. She says I can try to stop her by force, but I'd have to go to prison first. She unlocks the car doors and says, but there's an easy fix to this. An easy fix. All I have to do is tell Sid I love her, and I'll prevent a crime. I'm in a game I don't know the rules of anymore. I tell Sid I love her. I lie. We pull away from the cafe as it's fading in the rear view. We pull up outside of a hotel where she's already got a room with champagne waiting in an ice bucket. She throws her body down on the bed and says, I know you're mad, but now you can punish me any way you want. Nobody knows we're here. We're alone in this room. Someone could fucking die tonight. I feel sick. She's a spider in skin. She says, anyone can learn to love anyone. It just takes time. She says that my time is running out. I pour the champagne on the floor, wield the bottle as a weapon. Sid, I'm walking out of this room. Don't follow me. Don't fucking come to my work again. She doesn't stop smiling, but her eyes are blinking at a weird rhythm like a TV set starting to fritz. You'll come back, she says. I tell her, I'll never see you again. I fucking wish I believed me.
She seeks. You may be her lover, but you never will recover, 'cause she ain't had a bite for weeks. You think you're the same 'cause you got the same name, but the widow has a mobile home. Remember what I told you, she got 8 arms to hold you, and she's never gonna let you roam. She'll take you into bed, truck on your head, then she'll wrap you as a midnight snack. So if you see a spider, don't you saddle up beside her. Why'd you think the widows wearing black. The queen bee, baby. Pray that you may be left on your own. Not that she'll give you, gonna outlive you. But the queen bee's never gonna be alone. Long before Atlantis, there has been a praying mantis, and you know why he's on his knees. He may have religion, but he's just a sitting pigeon if a woman even starts to tease. He won't even quibble if she has a little nibble on his neck. What a way to go! And then you done and told it, you've been messing with a hornet. She's a blue-blooded wasp, you know. And just as you do it, she'll inject you with a fluid that you ain't even got the none. Your meat on the plate, not even first rate. She's gonna feed you to a seventh son, just like the queen bee, baby. Pray that you may be left on your own. Not that she'll give you, gonna outlive you. But the queen bee's never gonna be alone. So in conclusion, it's an optical illusion if you think that we're the weaker race. Men got the muscle, but the ladies got the hustle, and the truth is staring in your face. The mother bear stalks and the queen of the hawks is the one who brings home the bread. The lion that is regal and the dog and the eagle need a woman just to keep them fed. But come the evening, we're like Adam and his Eve inside the garden, hear the serpent sound. It's so frustrating when you're really into mating and there ain't a loving man around. Whoever wrote the story, when you're really into mating and there ain't a loving man around. Throw out the glory, bring in the man. Into mating and there ain't a loving man around. Give me them and I'll swing. Write me a sequel, give me an equal. I said I'm gonna give him that loving
Intermission.
Check. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, we're just about to start the show again. Don't worry, I'm not actually in the show, I'm just getting everybody seated, then I get back in the show. I'm like a glorified usher, make sure everybody's sitting down. Hello, how you doing? Good. You don't have to say hi back. I know it's annoying when somebody says hi and you expect it to say hi back. Hi. Hello. Wow, I'm not used to performing to such a big audience. Thank you. Okay, basically what I'm going to do is sit everybody back down and just warm you up a bit. Just, you know how when you're in a show and you watch it go from Act 1 to Act 2 and you're like, well, what happened in the middle? I was like, well, let's do something in the middle and make it exciting. You know, get the energy. My phone just vibrated. Are you on Grindr, sir? Anyway, so I'm here to warm you up a little bit. Basically, you're going to get this out of the way first. I'm English, I'm not Australian. Clear it up, okay? I'm British. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, basically what I'm going to do here today is get the energy going again. Not like we need it, because we've got a great audience, but a few months back I had the idea. I was like, how can I get the crowd going again? Do something exciting, you get it energy going. I was like, I could do acrobatics. I was like, no, we're doing that. I was like, I could do a handstand act. I was like, no, that's fucking boring. And then it came to me. Stripping. See what I mean? They love it. They love it. And then I was like, well, it's not fair, is it? Because there's a lot of guys. And then I was like, we're in San Francisco. Stop it. So that's where this whole idea came from. What I'm going to do today is basically stripping. But I was thinking about it a lot, and I was like, oh, stripping's not that classy, is it? How do I make stripping classy? Then it came to me in a handstand. That's basically how we're going to do it. We're going to make stripping classy in a handstand. Sound like a good idea? Lovely. All right, let's do this. Stripping. Stop it, shut up. Wasn't that funny? Alright, we're going to strip in a handstand, but first I'm just going to warm up a bit, just get my body stretched out, because I had to do a quick costume change, so I didn't have much time to stretch out. This is my favourite stretch. I love this. How I get my body ready. Yes. You should see your faces. You think this is weird? Look at this. Imagine what I can do with this. Now we're getting going. Alright, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, stripping in a handstand. I really don't know how to do this. I'm not really a stripper. That was a shot. Now, it's going to get a little more complicated because I've got to take off the shoes. The shoes have got to come off. Now they're tied. You want to check those for me, sir? Get off. Anyway, so it's going to get complicated because I am going to do it. I figured this all out. Ladies and gentlemen, the shoes are just about to come off in a handstand. Right, here we go. Not ready. I'm going to stretch again. This is my second favourite stretch. Really enjoy this stretch. Love this. Yes. You're really not into this, are you? You see his face, he's like looking at his girl, he's like, oh shit. Is that your girlfriend? Close? Small world. You guys really do not get any of the British humour, do you? You're like, it's a time release joke, you'll get it later. No? Fucking forget it. Alright, here we go. Second favourite stretch, it's called putting the body inside out. Yes, thank you. I know what you're thinking. The answer's no. Trust me, I know what you're thinking. You're a dirty motherfucker. back to it. Okay, here we go. Shoes off in a handstand. You have no idea how much fun I got made of a child for that laugh. Yes. Anyway, so now it's going to get very complicated, okay, because I've managed to get the shoes and the socks off and the shirt. Lady, you're late. Where have you been? You missed all the good stuff. I was worried sick. Still don't get the British humour, do you? You guys are a bunch of wankers. Alright, anyway, back to it. I've got to take your pants off. Now they're coming off, don't worry about it. But this is the thing I've been battling with, okay? I'll take your pants off when I'm in a handstand, okay? All you're going to be doing is staring at my ass and this. Now you're guessing it. I thought that was a good joke. Anyway, or I could do it standing up, facing front. See? That's what we're going to do. Standing up, you can see it all. Trousers come off. Now this is basically the thing I was really dealing with in my head. I was like, when I'm in a handstand, my trousers have got to come up. When I'm standing, they come down. I know, it's mental. Gravity. Okay. Shut up. Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, trousers coming off, standing up. Oh, sorry. Are you taking a picture of me? Let's make it a special one. Take a punch. Do it now, I'm twisting my nipple, it hurts! Good. Well, back to it. These are my best stripping moves. I don't know much about it. on, you got some money? At least give him a fucking dollar. Come on, somebody's got a dollar. No, come on. Somebody got a dollar? Throw it on stage, make him take it off. Do you literally not have a dollar? That is sad, lady, don't date this guy. He's broke as shit. Oh, okay, now throw it. Make it, yeah, throw it at him. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yes. Did you also throw a dollar? I did. You cheap motherfucker. You could at least done a 20 or something. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be honest, that wins.
Damage attracts damage, like chaos is a magnet. I haven't seen Sid for over a month. Never called the librarian back. I'm still homeless, crashing on couches with a pocket full of change and a bar ticket. But tonight, it's my birthday party at a local bar. And in walks my perfect poison, Sid. She said she was just in the neighborhood. Didn't even know it was my birthday. It's all just one big happy accident. She hangs in the back corners. My friends are buying me rounds. But an hour later, she brings me a cocktail and slides her hand up my leg. I don't stop it. It's closing time, and a friend of mine offers me a couch to crash on, but Sid whispers in my ear that a birthday boy should unwrap presents in a bed. No, Sid, come on, we talked about this. She says, even for old time's sake? I said, no, I don't think it's a good idea. She slides her hand further up my leg and says, what about just a ride to your friend's house? Say, all right, but nothing more than that. She says, nothing more than that, and draws a halo above her head. When I get in her BMW and she slams on the car locks, I realize I may have made a mistake. As she guns her car to the parking lot going 46 in a 25-mile-per-hour zone, there's a slur in her voice I didn't seem to notice before. And she gets real cold and quiet when she says, anyone can learn to love anyone. It just takes time. She's not even looking at the road, just at me. Sid, can we please slow down? We hit a speed bump so hard my head smashes against the ceiling. She's going up on a list how if I just knew myself better that I would know I was already in love with her, that I should stop lying to myself. Her engine is revving, horns are blasting. I realize I might have to jump out of a moving fucking car. Every action movie I've ever seen is replaying through my head on how to hit the pavement in some perfect slow motion roll. We blast through a traffic light like it just wasn't red enough. Jesus Christ, Sid, can you fucking slow down? She said, you want me to slow down? Is this relationship going too fast for you? A man pushing a shopping cart dives his way out of her headlights. We blast through a three-way intersection way too fast. Says there's an easy fix to this, an easy fix. All you gotta do is tell me that you love me. I say, Jesus Christ, Sid, I love you, stop the car. She says, love doesn't stop. I watch the traffic light fly above me. We smash headlong into a sedan that goes spinning into a crosswalk, glass shattering across the street. There's a sickening screech of metal grinding, her windshield cracking, her hood crunching into a twisted mess, and everything is spinning and spinning and goes black. And then it's silence. Except for broken glass twinkling to the asphalt. I sit there heaving for a second. Move my toes in my boots. My forearms are wet with spit that flew on impact. The other car is 50 feet ahead, spun out on a crazy axis. There's a woman at the wheel holding her head, checking for damage. I turn to Sid, blood's trickling down her forehead. You all right? She says, I knew it. I knew that you loved me. I hear cussing across the intersection. The other woman's getting out of her car. Sid says, what happens now? What do you mean, what happens now? I don't think you have a lot of options here, Sid. Jesus Christ. You think the cops are gonna come, you're probably gonna get a DUI, and go to fucking jail. Or you can run and leave your car here, but I don't think that other woman's gonna let you get very far. She says, no. What happens now between us? I wanna wipe the blood off her face, but I'm scared to touch her. The other woman's nearing the window, holding her phone. Sid's not looking at her. The other woman says, that was a red light! Are you crazy, bitch? A red light! The fuck out your car! Sid still hasn't turned to see her. Are you drunk? Oh my God, I can smell it. You had better have insurance, bitch. I cannot believe this shit. I gotta get out of here. Sid's gonna keep pulling me deeper. I don't wanna see how much further this can go. I unclasp my seatbelt. The soundtrack of approaching sirens scores Sid's final words. Help me. I can't. I don't know if I ever could. I back up slow as blue and red lights come around the corner. I'm fading into the shadows past the street lamps. I stagger 10 blocks and circle. Come back just in time to see Sid getting put in the back of a cop car in handcuffs. She calls him from jail in the morning, says her parents are flying back to make her bail. She leaves me a message the day she gets out. Says she loves me and's got a bottle of champagne for the next time she sees me. I stay away from the old bars. I'm gonna go to Van Cleef's for a year. The tango is over. It's 10 years, 2 leases, and 3 girlfriends later. I blow out my knee doing a drunken kickboxing session in my kitchen, so I'm a fucking idiot and doesn't learn shit. A friend of mine gives me a free pass to a yoga class, tells me I should try something a little more gentle. So I show up, ready to sweat out a decade plus of toxins and endure the god-awful music. I unroll my mat, and at 8 p.m., in walks the instructor, and it's Sid. Now impossibly toned and tanned, her hair cut short, wearing all black like she used to. We meet eyes, and that same smile comes across her face. She looks away to start the class. I can see the scorpion tattoo faded on her arm. I follow all of her instructions, up until the point where she tells us all to close our eyes and to take deep meditative breaths. I keep mine open, and we stare at each other across the class in silence. The class ends, and I'm rolling up my mat. I'm 10 feet out the door when she says my name. I turn, and she's holding car keys in her hand. She asks if I want a ride. Says nothing more than that, and draws a halo above her head. You have got to be fucking kidding me, Sid. Then she points at her car. It's a station wagon with 2 child seats in the back. She holds up the wedding ring on her finger and says, just kidding, there's no room. It's all right. I was gonna walk anyway as I live close. She stops me again. You still writing suicide notes on bar napkins? No. Now it's to-do list. She points at her tattoo, says, what was that shit? Oh yeah, poison should always be labeled, right? Well, life is a choose-your-own-adventure, Jamie. I hope you get the ending you want. I tell her I'm sorry. She was right. We were both reflections of each other, and I just learned I couldn't look away anymore. She shrugs, says we were young. We just weren't the right antidotes for each other. See you around. I keep walking. I don't look behind me as her headlights pull away. Just another car going in the opposite direction.
I got lots of problems. lot of problems. Game hell trouble.
The metal doors slam shut behind me at the juvenile detention facility. The locks snap into place. Sweat is trickling down my collar as a guard's going down the checklist, clicking his pen. He's got a metal baton that's chipped from cement or teeth. It's hard to tell. He looks like every cop I ever ran from before I hit 18. He's going over my record to make sure I've never been arrested for anything too exciting. It's my first week here teaching writing workshops at this juvie. A nonprofit sent me here because I've worked in prisons before, but juvies are different. In here, rehabilitation isn't a taxpayer's joke yet. I'm here for every writing class that kicked me out, every teacher that sent me to the school shrink, every preacher who told me God was the only one who'd listen. The guard pats you down for weapons, nods over at the wall of shame, a glass case with every form of confiscated contraband mounted like trophies. It's a tattoo gun made out of a 12-volt battery, a toothbrush with razor blades glued to the end. The guard says, I wish these kids found a better use than making pipes out of toilet paper rolls for their talents, but that's why you're here, right? To help them use their talents? I'm here as personal penance for every crime I ever got away with, but I sure as shit ain't gonna tell him that. He reminds me that no pens are allowed. Says a teacher lost a pen a month ago and they found it 2 days later sticking out of some kid's neck. Pens have too many sharp parts you can cut someone with. And here, a pen is a sword. I ask him what wing the teacher lost the pen in. He says, Pine. Most kids get stabbed in Pine. Each wing in this juvie is named after a different tree. The girls are fern, the boys are redwood, elm, and pine. It's my 7th day and I've done every wing but one. Pine is for serious crimes, mostly murder. Their teacher's Miss Pearson. She's been here for 20 years and runs a tight ship, he says. She has to. She has all the killers in one room. And today, I finally meet him. I walk through 3 more locked doors into a circle of steel. Guards are above me on the catwalks. Empty white cells surround us. 15 kids sit in chairs bolted to the floor. Their teacher, Miss Pearson, sits at her desk, her face jowled like a judge, unsmiling. She clears her throat, lays out the rules. No cussing, no threats. Then she writes, "Safe space" on the board in big letters and underlines it. And she looks at me and says, "Go ahead." I survey my class. In the front is this freckle-faced redhead kid who's grinning to me like a hyena waiting for a punchline. Next to him is a beaten kid with a black eye, and if I had to guess, it came from the largest kid in this room, this square-jawed 17-year-old giant who's sizing me up with the flat eyes of a shark. He's picking a scab off his fist. I introduce myself as a spoken word artist. I write poems, raps, sometimes I perform as circus performers. Do I have any writers in here? One says like graffiti. Yeah, like that can be writing, but rhymes, raps, stories. This whole workshop is about whatever you guys want to say. The giant says, "Yo, motherfucker, nobody wants to hear what we want to say." Well, look, we all got stories. We just need to learn how to tell them. He says, "Yeah, so I can be like you, Mr. Successful Writer, hang out all fucking day in juvie." Miss Pearson shushes him and leads the whole class to a long metal table. The guard goes to a cabinet, unlocks it, and takes out a steel box. Inside is every pencil this class is allowed, already sharpened. Each kid's only given one piece of paper. The redhead starts drawing cartoon characters. The beaten kid writes Jimmy at the top in big letters. The giant leaves his page blank and smirks at me. All right, so we're gonna start off with a metaphor exercise. So a metaphor is different than a simile because a metaphor is what something is, not what it's like. So I'm gonna give 3 big concepts on the board, and I want you to just generate some lines and images for each concept. So I write love, hate, and school on the board. I give an example of love is a straitjacket you're waiting for someone else to tighten. None of them think it's clever. So 10 minutes pass, I ask for volunteers. No one raises their hand. The giant laughs at me. The one kid says, "I don't know, is this right? Love is a rose." Exactly, love is a rose. You hear that in pop songs a lot? That's a metaphor. The redhead kid's grinning ear to ear. He says, "I got one. Love is when she swallows." You're trouble. You're gonna get me in trouble. Then Jimmy says, "I got one for each. Love is a rumor I've only heard about, but never seen with my own 2 eyes. Hate is handcuffs being your first kiss. School is only rehearsal for prison." Every teacher hopes for a kid like this, the one who'll hide their talents like contraband. Then move to the next exercise, a personification exercise, which is the opposite of objectification, which too many of us do to women. So personification is where you take an object that you use every day that's important to you, and then you give it life, and then you write from the perspective of that object. So that's personification. And after 15 minutes, I'm a little shocked when the giant asked to go first. He says, I got some of this poem shit. I get torched every day. I get hit for no reason. Shut the fuck up, bitch. It's a poem and shit. I get hit for no reason. I'm fat, I'm brown, and I'm what we all want. My name is Swisher Sweet, and I'm a blunt. Miss Pearson says, "No drug talk." The next kid says, "My name is AK. I'll blast back like every day." She says, "No threats." And the redhead says, "Don't worry, Miss Pearson. The title of this is called Safe Space." I'm the shower, I'm the bathroom, and if I'm lucky, I'm the bunk on the top. I'm a safe space. And anywhere I can jerk off without getting caught. He slams his paper down on the table. I pretend not to notice Miss Pearson glaring at me, but in here, being a class clown just might save you a beating. Then Jimmy asks to go next. He's holding his paper so close, he's squinting through his black eye. He says, mine's like a rap and shit. I'm a pencil in the pen, clenched in a fist. I bleed out white on to prove I exist. I'm the sharpest point in my pack. I write rhymes, but I can't beat my own rap. But they want me erased, blank as a page. That's why they keep me locked up in this cage. My life sentence is written until the day I get out. I'm a pencil, but in Jimmy's hand, I'm my only escape route. He sets his paper down and stares at it. The giant bangs down on the table and proclaims Jimmy the next Biggie Smalls of Pine. Miss Pearson signals the guard to cut the lesson short. It's pencil count time. I tell all the kids that I run a show in Oakland called Tourette's Without Regrets. It's got an open sign-up sheet, so the day you get out, come on down, sign up, because that's what it's for. Jimmy walks up, hands me his poem, and asks for feedback. I tell him, next class we'll have more time for revisions. He says, aight. When he's walking back to his cell, the other kids are slapping him on the back. When I leave, I overhear the giant asking Jimmy to write letters home for him. In here, most of these kids are only a last name and a docket number. Most will be tried as adults. But at least today, they got to be kids again for 20 minutes. I'm holding on to that meager victory when I walk through 3 more locked doors into the freedom of the parking lot. My cell phone rings. It's my supervisor. I tell him about my first day at Pine, about this badass MC named Jimmy and this redhead class clown who kind of reminds me of me when I was in school, and then my supervisor cuts me short to tell me I'm fired. Apparently, Miss Pearson complained that I encourage poems about marijuana and masturbation, so I will be replaced with a watercolor class. I sit numb in my car, thinking about all the words I'll never write, about all the stories I'll never hear. It's 3 years later, and I'm taping up an open mic sign-up sheet outside the Oakland Metro. A teenager in a hoodie walks up, asks me if I recognize him. It's been too many schools since, I can't place his face. He says, man, I had to do a week in solitary because I wrote a poem about jacking off when you came to juvie. It's Mr. Redhead Safe Space. I slap him high five, congratulate him on getting out. He's back with his parents. Now he's delivering pizzas. He says, man, I ain't ever going back. Then lights up a blunt. I pretend not to notice that part. I said, hey, what happened to that kid Jimmy? Jimmy, man, it's fucked up, but yeah, he got in a fight and stabbed this kid and got another 15. He was still writing rhymes when I left, though. That's how it goes, all right? That's how it goes. For too many kids I've known. That's why I keep telling stories, keep writing. For all the Jimmies who will never have the time or the chance for revisions. The redhead said he's got poems of his own, that his story is so much more than what's on the record. He says he wants to learn how to do what I do. I hand him a pen and say, all you gotta do is sign up, and the mic is yours. How many of y'all come from a divorced family? Woo! One of the few times you'll cheer for that. For the rest of you, don't worry, it just takes time. Just takes time. Nothing brings divorced families together like a preschool sing-along. Today, I'm a proud papa. My daughter's graduating preschool, and I want it to be a happy memory, so she'll graduate high school, like her mom and dad didn't. Today, in a church in Vacaville, California, a portrait of Jesus smiles down on the crowd of parents mobbing the pews. We're one big demolition derby of custody battles and buried resentment that screeches to a halt at the sign, slow down. Children crossing, because it's all about the kids. All about the fucking kids. In here, everybody wears a frozen smile like a taxidermist did our makeup. Disney characters and diaper sales are the small talk life raft, and you would be shocked how many times Goofy and Pampers saved a soccer mom from swinging on the woman her husband left them for. And I'm no exception. I got a new girlfriend cradled in my arms who loves me enough to brave this hazing ritual. Gentlemen, no matter what the fuck they say, nobody ever wants to meet the baby mama for the first time in a church, especially when you're considering a vasectomy. I spy my ex in the back pews, her black hair gleaming like a knife in the stained glass light. As you walk towards her, my girlfriend realizes that they're wearing the same outfit. Ex in red, girlfriend in pink. Now I hear, in the world of women, that this is oftentimes a declaration of war that's fought with catty stares and sniper subtitles that men thankfully don't have the radar for. Her new husband is big, tall, and handsome. The kind of man I always knew I wasn't. As we shake hands, the wedding ring he bought today clinks against my knuckles, so I just give him the best smile I got, as I am so happy someone finally volunteered to be her umbilical cord to reality. His own baby mama's here, a dirty blonde with split ends and an assault record against her new boyfriend, who keeps flinching every time her hands come out of her pockets. 3 couples, separated by 1 penis and 1 vagina, like an evil chain letter that mails itself every time you fuck somebody new. Nobody wants to talk. We all got evidence that stand up in court. So instead, we stand around saying, "Oh, it is so good to meet you. I have heard so much about you," which is parent code speak of, "You couldn't pull out of that?" The church organ kicks on, and Ritalин's fan base file in, a march of drooling munchkins falling all over each other. A little boy keeps wiping boogers on his bow tie. A little girl has to pee and keeps grabbing her crotch. Scanning the future leaders of America, I thank God this graduation is in a church, because some of these kids don't stand a prayer. At the end of the line is my beautiful daughter, Nadia, grinning smudged lipstick from ear to ear, wearing a dress we bought her in a bargain bin from Target that she's managed to rip and get mud on in less than an hour on a day it's not even raining, and she says, "Hi, Daddy," before she trips and falls and takes out a whole row face first into a pew. The preschool has been arranged for an awards ceremony where each child will be given a prophetic career, like future comedian, because Tommy's fart jokes always floor the class, or future cheerleader, because Sally's got such school spirit. As they go down the list of the future mayors and quarterbacks and carpenters, some of the parents start to get nervous, thinking their kid might win future syringe porcupine, because Johnny's always snorting the glue stick, or future pole dancer, because Lola makes Barbie strip for Ken. Finally, they say my daughter's name, and they bring her up to the front of the church, her face already blooming purple in embarrassment. And the school teacher says, "Well, as Nadia is such a big imaginative teller of stories, we award Nadia DeWolf the Future Author Award." A writer, like her dad. I would have been fucking happy with anything, all right? Could have said future goth star. I would have bought her a razor and a cemetery plot myself. But a writer like me, me and my baby mama's eyes meet. And an important, sacred truth is crystallized in that magic moment. My DNA is winning! Yeah! All of my sins have been forgiven with a certificate my daughter might not even remember. You see, parents ain't nothing but prologue. And my life is a rough draft I'm still tumbling towards the ending, but at least I know there's a future author who can one day pick up a crayon and write her own happy ending.